you very much, Nicholas. That was fascinating. A lot of food for thought there and a lot of challenges for people there as well, putting it up to us to meet those standards. Next up, we'll move straight on. We have Elia González Salas, co-founder and commercial manager at KOSMOS, a digital quantity surveyor at KOSMOS, and co-founder and chief product officer at the Fifth Dimension. So Elia has focused her professional career on commercial management, both as a consultant and contractor from Denmark, Spain, and abroad. Will be talking to us now on the evolved role of the QS. So, invite her up to the stage. Thank you, Elia.
I can see you are looking nervously for me. Hello, everybody. As Pat has nicely introduced, I am a quantity surveyor myself, and I'm going to talk about how quantity surveying is disappearing in the way that is evolving as a role, right? We don't operate the same way as a traditional profession, but we need to adjust to the current needs of the industry, correct? Co-founder of KOSMOS, a service consultancy quantity surveying firm. We operate in Denmark and Ireland, but also a co-founder of the Fifth Dimension, which is a software product that we have created just to cover some needs on the industry that we have spot while working for several years as digital quantity surveyors. That's how we like to call ourselves. I'm going to start with some basic definition of what is digitization, being the conversion of text, pictures, sound into a digital format, to be processed by a computer. All the work that involves working on a screen, not paper anymore, on a screen. Now, very important differentiation between digitization and digitalization. That's where we want to get. Digitalization is leveraging the digital information to improve business competitiveness. It's not about having PDFs anymore, it's about having data that is readable. With this, we want to achieve transformation. We want to get use of the full potential of all data. Now, I'm a quantity surveyor, so when I talk data, I talk project information that affects or impacts the cost, and especially cost information. I don't know if there are any quantity surveyors in the room or watching virtually. We work with many different on-screen tools that are digital, but not necessarily reaching the digitalization stage. Sorry, I'm not native English. These are difficult words. The favorite, absolute, preferred tool for quantity surveyors being Excel. I open Excel every day. I spend more time in Excel than talking with my family. Now, when we analyze really the output of Excel, it's always going to be PDF. Looking at the containers for EMEA, in numbers, almost 70% of all the documentation produced, I'm talking the entire industry as construction, but if we create a pro rata for the quantity surveyors information that we produced, I can assure you more than 70% of PDF. And when we look at amount, it says here nicely 25% for BIM. These statistics are a bit old. I'm pretty sure now it's a little higher, that percentage. Quantity surveyors don't really produce information for the BIM environment. We do, but not in the volume of data that probably is measured here by amount. Our input is very limited to certain deliveries on the time plan, and the amount of information we produce is also very limited compared to the entire project scale, right? We are looking at projects currently as linear. We start and we finish. And this means that when we plan our deliveries, we plan them project-specific, and we plan them with a deadline, and we plan to burn them and bury them at the very end. In many cases, I've experienced this is not even this is actually ideal. In many cases, I've seen we plan the information we produce for certain stages where we stakeholders are involved, then we hand over to the contractor, to a different cost management firm, and they will kind of start over. So there is not really a full strategy of how the data for cost is structured and defined to cover the entire time plan of a building project. I'm just covering that because it's just exactly what I talked about. When we are looking at all the different tools used in the project, they are actually absolutely disjoint. They are not connected. And the reason being is that we are passive receivers of this information. You are going to love this, Nicolas. It is about the people, and it is about the process, and it's about the communication and all the collaboration that happens in between. The traditional role of quantity surveyor is to receive the design, estimate it, submit it, and then wait for the next phase, or wait till the end when we are producing tender estimates to receive the entire design, quantified, estimated, and that's it. Now, we want to believe that there is a better way, that is not good enough just to complain of how bad the design is and how we cannot use it and how BIM is not usable for quantity surveyors because it's very bad quality, it's not trustable. We want to find ourselves responsible for that lack of quality. We should be involved in the process in the way that we are part now of the BIM environment. We are also part of the common data environment. We are producing information, and therefore we should secure requirements in the BIM execution plan. We need to request what we need so that the people producing information for us to use can follow those guidelines. We also want to disrupt the way we are operating. We don't want to be as passive as receiving the information, estimating, saying it's wrong, redo it. We would like to be much more involved in that process. We don't want to design, but being involved on all the design meetings, being involved on all the updates on the model, you can actually validate the data, qualify the data on the design so that we can operate with that, we can use it to increase the quality of our delivery. Someone said before, garbage in, garbage out. Okay, if we receive very bad design quality, we cannot really produce a very good, accurate cost estimate, quantified estimate. It's just not possible. The information is not there. And if we wait till the very end, it's just too late to actually change the entire process, change the entire project information. There's no resources for that. It's too late for it. It is not about value, gaining the quality of the output. It's also about time. By being involved in the different stages and collaboratively every week, spot all the deviations on design, therefore all the impact that it has in the cost, you also gain time. You don't wait for the end of the stage to decide it is over budget, you need to redesign. These changes are tracked more periodically, meaning that all that can be done on time much faster without waiting for it to be too late. This said, we need more digitalization. Not digital working, that's not good enough anymore. We need to connect the way we are working. We need to connect our deliveries. We need to think data and how the data we produce is used by others. Not only the data the quantity surveyor produces for others, but also as designers, if there is anybody designing, producing information in the room, how that's going to be used by the quantity surveyor. We are in very early stages of the entire, I know we have been working with this for years, with BIM, information, data, digital, but we need to understand that there is different levels of maturity in the industry. And I'm directing my message to quantity surveyors. You need to request what you need. I'm also directing my message to designers. Help the quantity surveyor to define what they need. Ask them, what do you need to do for them to use your design, right? Now, quantity surveyors, we are producing budgets, estimates, cash flows, risk management, contracts, invoices, benchmarking, all the project information, time schedule, change management, value engineering. Are we ensuring all these pieces of our delivery are connected between each other? And more importantly, are they connected to the project material? Now, if it's not, question it. Start changing your mindset, start working around that, put effort on trying to structure your data so it can be used at a higher potential, at a higher level. The idea is basically to go from this to this. We need to reuse the data. Data is gold, and we are losing it. At least from a cost perspective, rarely data is reused. And if it's reused, it's not trustable, it's not accurate. We need to try to think not only project-specific, but actually entire life cycle specific, and not only for your project, but for the other projects, not national, not global. We need to start thinking bigger. Now, it's a challenge because it's a change on the mindset. It's not necessarily emphasized on the educational programs, but that's what I was saying. Quantity surveying is disappearing. Now we need to change our mindset. We need to evolve the way we work. Building level, project level, portfolio level, business level. It is all about improving the industry, our profession as a starting point. And for that, we have now the opportunity. I think BIM is challenging us, is forcing us to be part of it. We can only skip it for so long. We are going to be dragged into it. We have gone from a very manual process, measuring with the ruler on the paper. Now we need to go next step, which is standardize, digitize, and ultimately automate, just to make our process much more efficient, dedicate our time not to measure, but to actually bring value to the project, analyze the project, understand the project. That requires time. If you spend your time measuring, that's not allowing you so much. I want to think of the BIM dimensions as parallel. And I also repeat very often that 5D comes before 3D, before 2D. You will always have a budget in your project before you have a single line in a drawing. And that's the truth. And that means that as early as that, you need to define the requirements for 5D on your BIM execution plan. They are also parallel dimensions, so we should not wait for 2D and 3D to be ready so that we can quantify to prepare 5D and 4D. No. Whenever there is a change on 3D, whenever there is a change in 2D, that has an impact in cost and has an impact in time. And we need to be as fast as that and as connected as to pick all those changes across. If there is a change in the cost, let's say we reduce the budget, it's going to have an impact in the 2D and the 3D. It's going to have an impact in the entire design. So we need to start looking at the dimensions as parallel. And to do that, we need to consider all the stakeholders involved in each of the dimensions as constantly communicating what is going on in your delivery, in your silo, in the part that you are responsible for. You need to talk with each other. It is about connecting. We are no longer people responsible for the part we do. We hand over and we forget about it. We need to talk with each other. We need to create the project together because ultimately we are all going to be responsible of the project being good or bad in one way or another. Now, quantity surveyors quantify not only one discipline, but all the disciplines. So when I'm talking standardize, and this message is directed to the designers, don't look only at the design in your discipline, and don't focus the standards for your discipline alone. You also need to think that the standards you define for your discipline need to cover or be aligned with other disciplines, and they also need to fulfill the requirements for other people. The quantity surveyor won't quantify anymore from the drawings, but on the other hand, it will be the designers who quantify for this person, right? But and this message can sound a little confusing, but it's great. We will never quantify from 2D anymore, but that also means that you need to assure that you can take the quantities from the 3D with certain trust, with certain accuracy. And to do that, you need to help the modeler to model the quantities for you. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense for me. We can discuss it later if it doesn't. We need to start thinking of data as a circular process. That's the only way we will manage to analyze the client project, the portfolio project. The only way we will be able to go to advance our statistics and predict deviations, start analyzing how good are we at estimating cost, risk, time. In this project, in all the projects, can we create predictions for that? And ultimately assure that the level of quality in the data is good enough to be used for machine operations, like it could be machine learning, algorithms for predictions, calculations, statistics. A data set from your Excel file from your single project, it doesn't give you really much insight. You need to start gathering information from all the projects, and you can only achieve by standardizing the data of all the projects who are involved. Now, I'm going to talk a little, I think I have 2 minutes, great. I'm going to talk a little about the BIM execution plan, because as quantity surveyors, we should not believe that the BIM execution plan is exclusively for producing geometries, for producing the 3D models or the 2D drawings. We are producing information, meaning we need to follow these guidelines. BIM execution plan is for all the information produced in the project. Now, for project information, we need to assure that we are getting the information we require to produce our estimates, being the number of buildings, the schedule of areas, the output, the level of information at different stages, that the change management is in place, that we have a proper document hierarchy defined in our project, document naming, not to understand how others name their drawings, that's great, to understand how we are going to name our own documents, our bill of quantities, our estimates, our budgets, etc., right? Understand the project goals, BIM uses, types and subtypes that are modeled, what is a new type, how do we should request these new types from the modeler so that we can get the output we expect. In terms of organizational roles, what are we responsible for in the project? All these elements will be defined on the BIM execution plan, and we as quantity surveyors should have input into that. What will be the different information exchanges? How are we going to export the quantities at different stages? What are the file formats agreed? We work with IFC because we don't have license for absolutely every single design software in the world, so IFC has solved that issue. But you need to request exports in IFC, otherwise they will never do that. And if it's not in the contract, if it's not in the agreement, they don't need to do that, right? So you need to ensure that that requirement is there. And what platforms will be used for documents? What are the collaboration procedures? Are we having meetings weekly, periodically with the quantity surveyor, not just limited to the design team meetings? What are the project deliverables? And we cannot expect a fully quantifiable model in early stage, but we need to understand what we can measure, what we can take off, and we cannot. And then just last, quality control. What are the quality checks defined in the project? Is only classes in the geometry, or they are also looking at the information quality, at the data produced in the project has been qualified, the types, subtypes, codes, reference codes, not only a 3D model, but the descriptions, because we quantity surveyors also quantified what is not existing in the model, logistics, times, certain elements that are not physically modeled, but they are there. And we need to have that described, coded, classified, and properly referenced in our bill of quantities. And that's it from my side. I had to run a little later at the end just to meet the schedule. I'm Elia González. You can join us in LinkedIn if you please, and we can continue the discussion with a little less rush. Thank you very much.